morning. As long as we make the show, we can be the best or we can be the worst. We can be the best thing you ever heard. With the motor singing and the grandstands ringing, it's hard to put it all in words. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. Out on the dirt ovals we play, life in the bright lights with no shades. Letting her go, letting her rip, letting her fly, tossing her in sideways, living the life, letting her ride, eyesight winning to die. Cross her up on the cushion, crossing the line, cause some drama and some bullshit they didn't like. And if they don't like the move, then we're ready to fly. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. This is how we roll. This is how we do. It's not for everybody but the chosen few. And we pray, cause we know that they might not ever come back. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. Found I got my slime like Carson Macedo, and they can growl about it, lonely like old bro Joe. Cartel gonna care for me, not you, cause I'm the CEO. I'm here to fight, looking to sink with my torpedo. I'm just a lap car trying to survive, running in the back, fearing my life. Cause there's a black and 2041 guy adding to the junk in the field with some white on white crimes. Or is it 99 maybe? I don't give a damn, but the bake statements lately adding up through the junk that the crazy man's making. Reckon her, reckon him, non-binary maybe, who knows? If I don't like him, I slide him like Carson Macedo, and they can growl about it, lonely like old bro Joe. Cartel gonna care for me, not you, cause I'm the CEO. I'm here to fight, looking to sink with my torpedoes. Carson Macedo. And I don't know where we go from here and what we think about it, but it seems to me, gotta be about it. Time for talk and speak comes across as weak, especially when dotting I's and crossing T's. It seems to be what they all want and what they need. And then you'll go, oh, oh no, just like them cars. Down while he goes, and they get to finally feel like Carson Macedo. If I don't like him, I slide him like Carson Macedo, and they can growl about it, lonely like old bro Joe. Cartel gonna care for me, not you, cause I'm the CEO. I'm here to fight, looking to sink with my torpedo. Mosquito. If I don't like 'em, I slide 'em like tossing mosquito. And they can cry all about it, lonely like old bro Joe. Cartel gonna care for me, not you, cause I'm the CEO. I'm here to fight, look in the sink with my torpedoes. Tossing mosquito. Ready, rip. Pray to God, ready to rip. On my high, ready to rip. With that armor, ready to rip. Hey,
oh my guys.
ready to rip.
Oh my guys. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hold on.
Try my hardest to stay the best.
That's what I'm talking about.
On my chest, facing problems down the depths.
That's it.
Ready to rip.
Oh, dude, the drop on that. I don't know how y'all don't like that.
Ready to roll, ready to rip, ready to reach.
Oh, how do y'all not like that, guys? Bottle with what you believe, cause I'm placing it all in the color. It's harder than nothing that's harder than free. Oh, it's such a good one. It's such a good one, guys. Oh, it's almost as good as this hustle job we're seeing right now up in Houston. The Speeding Demons. Tyler Walker's favorite song of mine right here. Tyler Walker's favorite song of mine right here, guys. Alright. We'll back her down. We'll back her down. We'll back her down. Hold on, the drop one more time. Hold on, the drop one more time. So good. So good. I know it's not white people music, but that is just so damn good. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, the chat's already getting pretty mean right now. Y'all are getting mean to the regime up at the South Dakota facility. The chat is being ruthless. Hold on. Y'all are already calling the format. The format is to gimmick or not to gimmick. So y'all are calling this format a gimmick in saying that. Y'all in the chat are saying this format is a gimmick. Do we start the show on the formats? I really wanted to save the formats for a little later. I mean, I didn't want to talk about the formats right now. I mean, if y'all want to start off with the format of this thing, I called it a thing, I know. He said, no, I'm saying to gimmick or not to gimmick. So what do you mean 20X? You're saying, is that the question, to gimmick or not to gimmick? I'm not so sure that the format is I don't think that the meaning of the format is to be a gimmick. I think that, in my opinion, I know this is crazy. We could end the show in 15 minutes, which it is pretty late already. I know, but the race just ended like 20 minutes ago, 15, 20. I think, and today's show is basically going to be a live call, interaction, talk show. Get ready to call in. We are going to have the lines open in this vicinity of this event here. Here's what's a fucking gimmick. I know Dirt Cup's rolling. We had an issue here with Flow Racing. We're trying to figure that out. But regardless, the thing that's a gimmick with sprint car racing in today's world is the normal format. That's a fucking gimmick, in my opinion. I've explained this to several car owners. I've explained this to several drivers. I've explained this to people who ask me. The format in place right now is a fucking gimmick. Now, what do I mean by that? Not the Husets format, but the typical World of Outlaw, slash, I will even say still slash the high limit format. These are gimmicks. Now, what is these gimmicks based on? These formats that we have currently in sprint car racing are gimmicks for the fan base. They are gimmicks for the fans of the sport because these formats were put in place when sprint car racing wasn't in the position it is now. There was a position in sprint car racing where there wasn't too many car owners and the World of Outlaws was barely able to survive. And the formats and the show of the World of Outlaws, which is what High Limit everybody's based on, the gimmick started catering to the car owners and team owners of the series to help them survive. And maybe it's a gimmick, it is what it is, but it was a gimmick, for whatever product on the racetrack in this time period. But the true gimmick of the scenario, the true reasoning of the scenario was for these few select people who could afford to stay on the road. Without Casey Kane and Tony Stewart and Ricky Stenhouse, you don't have a World of Outlaw sprint car series right now. Because there was a time period in sprint car racing where there wasn't really any teams that could travel up and down the road full time. There was only a few select. Now, this isn't early 2000s. This isn't the 90s where everybody was flourishing. They had their crazy inverts. You've heard Joey Saldana and the old-time drivers talk about their inverts and their formats the old Outlaw format had to deal with. Insane, crazy things that the premier drivers of the sport had to deal with. That's because at that time period, pre-Obama, you had people with money to spend to go sprint car racing full-time. So the format wasn't necessarily attuned to pleasing car owners and pleasing teams that needed to make a decent amount of money every single night they showed up to the track to stay surviving on the road. So the current World of Outlaws high limit style format we have is based on that era of motorsports where we went down to barely a couple handfuls of teams. And the Outlaws tweaked their format to where you unload, qualify, these teams full-time, y'all have money, y'all are going to qualify better because money buys speed. You start on the front couple rows, qualify into the main event, you dash it, whatever, you finish somewhere in the top 10, we write you a check, you load the car up and head to the next track. And that's what the current formats we're dealing with in full-time sprint car racing, in my opinion, and most people agree, in very high, powerful, understanding positions. I think it's funny how people still call me a dumbass when me and Tony Stewart sat here for 3.5 hours, and and the one compliment he kept coming back to is, Chaz, I think you have a real good understanding of what's going on in the industries, the racing worlds, and all this stuff. That was the one compliment that at least stuck in my mind that he said more than once. But when I have these opinions, I'm not just talking stupid. I'm coming with information. So the high limit format is kind of tweaked a little bit back to fans because now we have cars and teams and shit. And even though it's still not 100%, you got to race your ass off, it's at least tweaked a little bit. Although you had Corey Day in our interview literally say that a World of Outlaw format's harder. He says that a high limit format, according to our interview, go look it up, one of the best interviews we've had of the year, I think. He literally says, you qualify good with high limit and you just got to kind of stay in the top 4. You qualify well with the Outlaws and you got to race your ass off and stay in the top 2 or you're out of the dash. Now, because the high limit, if you're the quick qualifier in your group, you literally just, got to transfer to the main event and you're in the dash. Like, that's kind of somewhat simple in comparison to the Outlaw format. But my simple statement is, neither one of them are attuned to action on the track. Neither one of them are attuned to whooping some ass every time pushing the limits every time these guys get on the track. It's attuned to qualifying, which once again, money buys speed. only so many people in sprint car racing, not late model racing. This is why late model racing can't get away with it as easy. There's only a few select amount of teams that are willing to spend all the money in the damn world to go fast around a racetrack. And if you're willing to do that, you have an advantage for 2 laps on a hooked up fucking racetrack. And those formats that we're used to are those formats. And once again, I'm laying the history as to how we got to that point, but this is what happened. Now, sprint car racing has more teams, and they're starting to mess around with things. I think one of the reasons the King's Royals, one of the best races of the year, is because of their format, but people still try to sandbag that. You know, I wanted to talk about, this was one of my, one of the obvious labels of this show is, you know, ideas, format or invert ideas that could prevent sandbagging. Because I think the Husets format was based on making these guys drive. Motherfucking the Querings, the groups up there, they're like, we're going to put $850,000 on the line and we're going to get a fucking show. And I think Todd Quering's one of the biggest fans that we have in motorsports, which is a very good thing. A very, very good thing. Very passionate person in his own right for the sport. And when he's going to do something or put something on, he's going to try to make it an entertaining event. So here's what I had in mind for this invert crap, because Rico got absolutely screwed the first night. And here's what's happening is, you know, you got these teams who are attuned to qualify. It's mainly your full-time outlaw high limit guys. They're attuned to qualifying well. That is your night. You know, if you go to an outlaw race and you qualify 20th, good fucking luck trying to run top 5. Same could be said for the high limit format as well. You got 40 cars, you qualify 20th. Maybe you can race great. Maybe whatever. You could get into the mains and come through the field. You're Tanner Thorson passing more cars than anyone all year. You're not a qualifying guy. You're a racer. Good fucking luck. So these outlaw and high limit teams, the good ones, the ones high in points, are qualifying machines. Literal qualifying machines. And their goal, similar to the criticism of David Gravel, is to qualify well, start on the front row, start on the front row of the dash, start on the front row of the main, maybe deal with some traffic if there's not a caution. And like I said, load the car up. That's their goal. They basically kind of stay in qualifying-ish, clean air. They stay in a clean air trim, if that makes sense. They don't want to deal with no traffic. They don't want to race. You know, that's not the goal. The goal is to collect the money and go home. Now, this Huset's High Banks hustle, fan influenced, I will call it fan influenced. Some people said that the format of the week is Tony Stewart influenced. Although King's Royal, once again, their format's pretty crazy, but people try to jip and jab on this thing. What I have here for you is the point scaling for qualifying in the heat races that sets up your main event lineups on the prelim night. And then, of course, your prelim night, how you finish with your cumulative points, similar-ish to Knoxville Nationals. All these points you accumulate all night set you up for your heat race lineup the next day. Of course, the Nationals, they line you up in a main on the final day. The qualifying night, you accumulate points, and where your points line up is where you start in the main event or the B main or the C main or whatever on the final day. These prelim nights, like yesterday's Hustle prelim and tomorrow's High Banks prelim, they're setting you up for heat race lineups. Which heat racing? I mean, how many people passed tonight? The heat racing tracks, I will give Husets this. The tracks were phenomenal tonight, I thought. Yes, it took a lot of track prep. Yes, I think everybody knows they have a rubber issue. But when it goes too slick, we saw rubber at the end of the 16th race. It's not Port Royal. It's not Eldora. It can't go slick for multiple races over and over and over. It has a rubber issue. And They know this, and they work the tracks in knowing that. It looks like they do have a good system. It seems like the racing was good tonight. Of course, Husets is a short track. People expect a swarm back and forth, but Husets is a high bank track, very high speed. Most of your half miles aren't going to be that close. So, in essence, or how close do you want to be? But back to the formats. Now, this is a tweaker that I think that could fix this situation that Husets is trying to have. Because I think they're trying to make it to where everybody's racing hard every time. Qualify hard. Heat race hard. The only issue I see in trying to make sure that, people aren't sandbagging in qualifying to try to get that second row inside or outside row spot. I mean, you even had David Gravel publicly saying this. Several drivers believe this. The way I think you can fix that, where these drivers are attempting to qualify as hard as they can, therefore they're getting inverted hard, therefore there is potentially slower cars up front instead of sandbaggers who are better than they actually are starting closer to the front in these heat races. Step number one is to flip this points chart for the heat racing and the qualifying. I mean, 100 for first, 99 for second, 98 for third, 97 for down by 1. You only have 1 point separation down this qualifying bracket. And of course, there's a group A and a group B. So the guy starting 6th, for instance, like Rico Abreu, got screwed on his prelim night because he qualified fast and had to start 6th and fell to 7th. He's accumulating 100 points, whereas the guy who started 10th is accumulating 90 based on this 1 point drop. But the difference is where that 10th place driver is starting, because they're doing a group A and a group B. So first, second, third is 6th, 4, 5, 6 is 5th, 7, 8, 9 is 4th. You can qualify 9th, start outside the second row. Or you can qualify 7th, start outside the second row. That's huge. And when you're 7th, you're only at 93 points. But you look at the gap between the finishing positions in the heat races here, 100 to 97 to 94 to 89. Now, consciously, when you're writing this out, that sounds like, okay, that's fair. You need them to race their ass off. If they don't race hard, then fuck them. But it's insinuating these guys, once again, qualify in that 7th to 13th, 14th bracket, only lose 7 or so points. Whereas over here, 1st to 4th is an 11-point swing. And it says down by 5. So 5th is down by 5. So what is that? 89 down by 5, 84. So then 6th place, if you start and finish, you qualify pole. You start 6th, you finish 6th, you're 84, and then another 5, that's 79. You just lost 21 points. You're at 179 versus the guy who qualifies 7th, gets 93, starts 4th, finishes 4th. What is that? 93, 89, what's this? 100 93, 89, 172, 182. What is that? I mean, off the top of my head, I'm just thinking. But that's incentivizing people to sandbag in qualifying to start for it, because they're going to benefit by 5 points per position in the heat race. And then that's going to line them up way better in the main event. Unless your buddy Kofoid, who was potentially the best driver of this entire 2-day span, and you can make up some ground and you get not a so stacked heat. But I think this is a problem. I think if it was me personally, like, I say you flip these points on the heat races and you put them into qualifying. And then additionally, or maybe you don't even do that. Maybe you still want to keep your down by 5. But here's what I would do. because starting out of that sixth position, it's huge. It's huge. And since they're splitting them up into two, there's three guys only getting hit on that. Like I said, I mean, it's three heat races, Group A, Group B, 100, 99, 98, 97, 96, 95. And once again, 94, 93. I mean, and you're already starting fourth. You're not getting much of a hit there. At a minimum, I think like if you finish or if you qualify first, second, or third, you should get 100 points for that qualifying effort. And then if you want to go 4, 5, 6, all those guys are getting 95, for instance, would be the next bracket, I do believe. 97, 96, 95. Yes. And then the next three, basically you're getting awarded points based on your starting position in the heat race, more so than by your position in qualifying. So if you qualify 1, 2, or 3 in Group A or Group B, you're going to be slotted out of the sixth spot out of the heat race. You're receiving 100 points from your qualifying effort. I not only think that that would incentivize people to run hard, because now you got a 5-point gap from starting sixth to starting fifth. At least make it fair. You know, at least make it fair. I think the heat racing, it sounds like a good idea with a 5-point gap, but you're just not suffering enough by qualifying badly. So you got people willing to even qualify 20th, or well, maybe not 20th, but 14th or 15th in a split field scenario. I mean, David Gravel could put in his damn, drain nozzles in there and easily qualify 12th or 11th or 7th or whatever. But I think you got to do something in qualifying that really makes a difference. I think that's a good idea. Like I said, say first, second, and third in qualifying all got 100. 4, 5, 6, you're going to be starting fifth, you get 95. 7, 8, 9, you get 90. And so on and so forth. So it's by group, by where you start. And then you could do the heat race finish how you want, but I think that would be cool in two ways. I think one way that would be cool is everybody's trying to get those 100 points. Not just one guy going to get 100. Going to be three guys from the separate groups going to be getting 100. So you have a race within qualifying now because everybody is, people want to be quick time, but now they want to be that top 3 guy so that they can make up those extra 5 points. And now it's not so incentivizing to qualify 7th to the 12th and 14th and start in the first 2 rows and get an advantage. Like we know they are doing. Like people are admitting in interviews. You kind of want to qualify, we're hearing them say this. So when you're putting on a show and you're wanting you want to incentivize guys going all out every time they hit the fucking track, when you hear guys publicly saying they don't want to run number 1, you have to figure out ways to make them run number 1. Or to when they hit that track, you're getting their full fucking balls. To where when they go out and qualify, they are doing the best they can do. Unfortunately, with this points doing, and hey, it's trial by error. This race is very early in its existence. Kings Royal's been around for how many years? Knoxville National's around for how many years? They've had time. Husets is trying to do something different here. And I do think there's some things to tweak on this. And honestly, the tweaking needs to be, or at least I believe, in the qualifying and the rewardance for qualifying well, because there's not much of a hindrance in not qualifying well, just due to the fact of the close separation, the split fields, and the points to be made up in just finishing better in the heat race more so than in the qualifying segment of the night. And I think we're all trying to prevent sandbaggers. We're all trying to prevent those guys, especially when you're in the promoter side of the element, trying to devise something. Once again, not trying to devise something that is going to get that 100% effort out of everybody when they hit the racetrack. It's close. damn close. But like I said, this qualifying heat race thing could use some tweaks. I think that's a good idea. What I threw out there will probably never be used because the Chaz said it on his show. But that's fine. That's fine. I think it's a good idea. Reactions in the chat. I mean, this is what I think. I mean, it could be 100% incorrect. It could be wrong. Um, isn't that the point of the invert? Show me the evidence. Not how many, but how bad did I have to sandbag to get that invert spot? Exactly. If you didn't know the invert, there would be less sandbaggy. Yeah. Chaz not there. Are you still banned? Technically, I'm not banned. Technically. But there are some interesting things. The main reason we weren't going to Husets was a vehicle issue with my car. We had a wheel bearing going out. We actually did get it fixed, and we are planning to head out to Husets tomorrow. The guys over, I'm actually wearing their shirt, R&R Repair. I was hoping to get some response here for the statements That's fine if we didn't, and that's fine. Let's go down some and we're not going to be doing a very long show here tonight. Once again, I understand it's late. I understand that it is a Thursday night as well. Everybody's trying to watch the races. Super Dirt Cup's going. I did want to talk about some driver performances. Obviously, we got to talk about the winner, Buddy Kofoid, getting it done. I think that he is the man to beat right now. At Huset's period, like Chase Rodman said, it should already be 2 Huset's High Bank Nationals championships on his belt without blowing the motor 2 years ago, and then of course winning the one last year. Of course, last year's was a little different. They had to make it up, but Buddy Kofoid's the man to beat right now. He's just at these short tracks. The Toyota motors are seemingly being more reliable as they go here, and he's taken over. He's taken over at Huset's, and I know that David Gravel and everybody may not like that because he's the closest competition that they got on the Outlaw Tour on a regular basis. Obviously, I believe he's still second in points, but it's going to be hard to beat Buddy Kofoid at Huset's this week. It'll be interesting to see. The big shocker, I guess, would be Bill Balog, finished second, trying to get the win, and I kind of feel bad for Bill Balog. You know, there was that pill draw where I think he redrew the 1 or something like that. I think that's what happened when the top 8 locked in on the first night, and he was very depressed in the interview. I mean, he was basically telling Connor Wade that he needed to borrow some money. I don't know what that technically means. Maybe he's in some kind of financial stress situation with the team. Obviously, his team is still kind of, even though he's 10-time IRA champion and going on the road, when I was on the road there at the beginning of the year with Ozzy and everybody, it was like his car was there with his one crew guy, and it's him and one crew guy, and then like a girlfriend of the crew guy or something like that. It's like a 3-person operation. And I'm not sure if they got big time funding. I mean, they got the maple syrup and all that. But it's not like this is a big time operation. When he talks like that, it makes it seem like they're about to go under. You know, it's kind of scary. In a way, it makes it sound like he's about to fall off the tour. So it was really good to hear him or see him get a good run in so he could get a big check, because it sounded like he's a few checks away from not racing anymore on the Outlaw Tour, which is unfortunate. I think Billy Balog, and I don't know why they call him Bill. I mean, Billy Balog just sounds so much better. Billy Balog, it sounds like a name. I think he's a real good representation for the series. He is that. He's in that working man category as far as I'm concerned. He is kind of the little man team, the little team that can. And it would be very unfortunate if Bill Balog fell off the tour. But and I'm not just making this up. I don't feel like he talked like that. I mean, he talked on like I said, with that interview with Connor Wade, I need to borrow some money or whatever he said. When you got a guy referencing, financial scenarios like that multiple times, it's only a joke for so long. It's only a joke for so long. So it seems like Billy Balog needs to run well. Second place tonight, obviously paid well. And hopefully that could continue for the rest of the week. Maybe new sponsors. Somebody needs to jump on board with Billy Balog or something. I would say Dennis Allball, but he's sponsoring the 57 team. But I'm sure that Kyle Larson and Paul Silva need the money more than a Bill Balog. Anyway, I'm not taking a shot at all balls, but some of these big money teams out there, instead of wanting to get with the hot girl in the bar, why don't you get with the one that's, doing things right, in my opinion, struggling, and still kicking ass, still looks like a bad bitch. When I see so many names on that 57, it's just such a simping move. In my opinion, it's a simp move, personally. Just want to be a part of that clique. That's my opinion. May not be true, but that's how it comes across to me. When you got guys like Bill Balog out here fucking gutting it out with performances on the track, and he can't get financial support. I'm not trying to guilt trip, the All Ball Group into sponsoring Bill Balog, but man, when we see teams get new sponsorships, shouldn't it be teams that don't already have it all? Right? Shouldn't it be teams that have put their ass on the line to go out here and fill the car with the Outlaws or this national sprint car scene and perform? Shouldn't they get some support? Anyway, gonna get too emotional. Rico Abreu, I thought he did a good job. I thought he was one of the people that fell victim to the sandbaggers of this event. He didn't go out there and qualify with the sandbagging attitude. He started sixth, finished seventh in his heat, destroyed him because of the point structure we just showed you. I think he's going to do well these next two nights. I think he's going to sandbag tomorrow because of the system that is in place in qualifying. I think that's what's going to happen. And Rico's going to be a contender now because he's going to sandbag in qualifying. Because the only reason Rico wasn't contending for the win tonight or last night was because he didn't sandbag in qualifying. In my opinion, this car was fucking fast, guys. Fucking fast. Even in the heat race tonight, where did he come from, like sixth to third? Where nobody could really pass. He was like the only guy doing it. I'm just saying. I think Rico was extremely impressive. Just, he didn't play the game. He tried to be authentic and straight up about it. Oh, we're going to qualify. Let's be the best. And it didn't pay off. It didn't pay off. Kubota scheme is so badass. Even though I thought that the Kubota post or the post that he was going to announce had something to do with Calistoga, and I was very upset about it in the moment. I posted some things and then I deleted them immediately. I'm like, I'm getting too emotional. Although I hope Calistoga has something in the works. I did talk to Tony Hunt, the Hunt family, and we may be having him on the show here or coming up soon. Give an update on Calistoga, one of the most beautiful tracks I've ever been to in my existence. Some more grades. Oh no, what's the grade for David Gravel, guys? What do we say for David Gravel? Billion Auto car, which the scheme this is the same billion Auto paint scheme for like 3 years now. I think they would change it up. I'm not saying that's David's fault or anybody's fault. Maybe that's just what the people want, supporting the vehicle. And he ran okay. Larson popped him there at the end. Obviously didn't do as bad as like the hype behind potentially a Christopher Bell. Bell didn't run Larson-esque or Gravel-esque. He kind of just, floated the middle of the pack. Uh, I feel like maybe gravel has a little too much pressure. Sponsored by the track, billion auto involved in everything. I mean, it's it's like people expect him to win the race, and if he doesn't win the race, he's a loser or something. Um, I don't know. No, the average. I mean, do you call it an average grade? Would you say it's an average grade? And he finished fourth. Got passed by Kyle Larson. He went through the gauntlet or sandbagged, in my opinion, the qualifying to get into a position to compete for the win. He was kind of closing in on Kofoid and Balog there in the main event. I mean, he was in the mix. Is that a failure? Is that a failure? What's the expectations for the two? Is he supposed to be Steve Kinzer? Is he? Maybe that's the expectation. Maybe that's the deal. You expect Kyle Larson and Gravel and Sweet and all these guys to be like Swindell, Kinzer expectations. These three are always going to win. They're always going to the front. It's a good thing that Swindell and Kinzer and Wolfgang and them didn't have full race highlights of every race they had. I have a feeling there was some races where they got beat and outran. The scrutiny wasn't as good as the fairy tale stories that we hear from people today. Everything was so awe and hero-esque. Failures were ignored, I feel like, more so in the past of humanity. Whereas now the failures are amplified in today's society. I don't know if you call it a failure. I don't know. Finish fourth. Larson passed him. It's Kyle Larson. Oh God, here he is. He's on. Grade for Kyle. Oh no. What do I think about Kyle Larson's? Oh, this photo's from Husets. I mean, obviously, first night extremely good. Outran Spencer Baston. I mean, who hasn't done that this year? But I don't know. He looked like he was gonna finish seventh or eighth. Honestly, tonight he fell back there. Was a hell of a battle it looked like between the high limit guys of Larson, Courtney, and Brad Sweet there for fourth or fifth or whatever it was. And I guess he won that 3-car battle, started pulling forward, got to gravel and passed him. Obviously started on the front row next to Kofoid, I do believe, or next to Balog, I do believe. Which the King of the Hill thing, I don't know why we're doing it. It obviously didn't help. And it was so interesting in that King of the Hill to see how guys were like 4/10 faster on the fresh, cold tires. I was trying to figure that out. In the King of the Hill, it was like David Grau went out there and ran like 11:3 and 11:2. It was like the best lap times of the entire King of the Hill. But then it's like he paced around, or everyone, once they paced around and the other guy sent out on new tires and ran the first 2 laps, it's like because Larson or Gravel sat around there and paced for a half lap or a lap or two, and then they went back on the throttle, they lost 4 fucking tenths. I mean, Gravel went from running 11.2s and 3s to running 11.6 and 7s. Same thing happened with Larson. Same thing happened with all these guys. That King of the Hill is actually kind of interesting in seeing the lap times drop for guys. And I'm not sure if that's because the fresh tire just gets going that good so quick, or if once the tire gets a little heat to it in that 2-lap span and then you pace, does it cool off and half-ass seal a little bit to the point you can't hit that fresh tire lap time? It was very interesting to see those lap times drop on these guys in that King of the Hill. Obviously, fuel was burning off, so you would think the car might be a little quicker. But the expectation for Kyle, if he doesn't win or lap the field, it should be a failure, right? But once again, I've never hated Kyle. Y'all are the ones coming out here saying he's the greatest of all time. I just say he's one of the greats. There's a lot of other drivers just as good. And I go after y'all when he does lose, sitting here saying, well, what happened now? What happened? How did our guys beat him? He's supposed to win everything. He didn't win this one. He's the GOAT. Does Bill Balog get Kyle Larson credit? Is he going to get all ball in his wing now so he can make it the rest of the year and not fall off the tour? I mean, he beat the all ball guy, the new all ball guy. Just saying, right? Did beat him. That deserving of anything? Deserving of credit for beating Kyle Larson? Do the two drivers that beat Kyle Larson get Kyle Larson credit? Or I guess there's 5 more laps. Oh, maybe the car was off. There's no way somebody in most fans' minds, especially the Larsonites, there's no way that Kyle Larson loses a race because another driver was better that night. He only loses because something was wrong with his car. This happened, that happened, XYZ. The greatest driver in the world on the track is Kyle. And it's disgusting that people think this way, honestly. I mean, the fact of the matter is the system of motorsports is not set up to properly make that judgment of others. You don't know what I mean by that? You shouldn't be making judgments and stating that Kyle Larson is the greatest of all. Because you're making a statement on a falsified imagination belief system, more so than facts. Facts are Bill Balog, Buddy Kofoid outran Kyle Larson. They should receive credit for that. They should receive admiration for that. Now, I've been a smartass for several years and went after Kyle when he loses to slap you people around in the face that don't give Bill Balog's and Buddy Kofoid's credit when Kyle loses to them. And then Kyle gets all the credit in the world as superior when he beats them. It's just such a fucked up judgmental system that these people have. But I think personally, as a rational person, not trying to just take digs at Larsonites and the psychotic fan base that he has, I don't think, once again, like David Gravel, is running fourth bad? Is Kyle Larson running third against the greatest drivers or the most difficult talent-based form of motorsports in the world? Is running third bad? Bill, the talent it takes to go around Huset Speedway in a 900 horsepower sprint car, it takes just about as much or more talent than any cup race you can see and any Formula One race you could see. The talent behind the wheel of the 17B of Balog and the 83 of Kofoid I don't think if you're Kyle, even if you're Kyle Larson, if you're losing to them, that's not a failure. These guys are that fucking good, buddy. This is the highest level of competition, in my opinion, that Kyle Larson has ever faces. Period. He don't get challenged anywhere else more than sprint car racing. That's his highest level of competition he goes up against year in and year out. It used to be the late models. They were putting him outside the top 10 and he quit. Yeah, he won a few races, but go look at those finishes before he got out of late models. They weren't too great. Late models is probably the number 1 competitive motorsport in the world. Sprint car racing is number 2. 410 winged. So, do I think Kyle Larson did bad? No. But I have more respect, and I give way more credit to Bill Balog's and Buddy Kofoid's and our sport than a lot of these other people who say they love it even think or even can fathom that they do. They just don't. They don't. It's their fandom, their cold trickle syndrome is like bigger than their actual care for rationale and judgment. I don't think Kyle did bad. Won the race last night, finished third tonight, got beat by 2 of the greatest drivers that he faces in the world of motorsports, that's not a failure. Past David Gravel, one of the best in the world. That's not a failure. Period. The problem is it's not respected. Just like in Wisconsin, they had the great high limit races. Wisconsin newspaper says it was Kyle Larson's series. Larson wins last night. Headlines. Will there be a headline tomorrow on the national news media outlets that Kyle Larson ran third? Buddy Kofoid won. Bill Balog team, who's got their driver in the dash draw crying to the damn interviewer that they need some money. Please help me. Is that going to be a headline? Is that going to be known that some Billy fucking badass Balog whooped his ass tonight? Finished ahead of him? He going to get greatest of all time notoriety? He beat him. Where's his credit? But see, this is where I get into fairness and rationale and understanding and I remove all the media psychological bullshit out of the scenario and just look at it for what it is. This guy beat that guy. Facts. See, this is why I joke and shit, because y'all people can't handle facts. I make jokes to go after y'all who want to deny facts. Now, Kyle's damn good. Once again, one of the greatest of all time. One of. But he'll whoop his ass. And the sprint car competition he goes up against is number one. It's the E-Special. Y'all could sit here and try to convince me all day that Carson Hocevar or Chase Elliott or Denny Hamlin or any of these guys are tougher competition. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to believe it. Because I don't know if those guys could even make laps in these vehicles. Yeah, I take the difficulty it is to do the task and the depth of the field in doing the task and the equality of equipment, and that's how I judge difficult. Rational thought, you know? Whereas y'all do it in this psyop. I don't do it in the psyop. I do it with rationale. But anyways, I don't think Kyle did that bad. Great. It's awesome. Beautiful. Anyways, Huset's High Bank Nationals now starts tomorrow. We already went over the formats and all those things. Yeah, we'll see what happens. There was a few drivers on this list that I don't remember seeing the last 2 days. I saw Brant O'Banion was on the list. I think there may be one or two more cars going to be at this at the Friday-Saturday event. Apparently, the 2KS with Ian Matson is going to come back. See that when it happens. Like pretty much everyone was there. See what happens come this week. Anyways, reactions in the chat before we get out of here. It's late, guys. Same old Chaz speech. Yes, I got to add rationale to everything. Bring back Roush Shaheen. Where is Roush Shaheen? That would be interesting. Ohio Speedweek has not been good. No, it hasn't. Ohio's got its issues, man. Ohio's got its issues. It's got a jewel. Got a jewel. It's like the diamond in the rough. Eldora is the diamond in the rough. Batting in 2 wrecks in the feature. I mean, he's always had bad luck. Always had bad luck in the. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, that's it. We were just going to click off a quick little video, 50 minutes, hour long. We are going to be going up to Husets. We may be entering that little RC race. You have a little RC car. Apparently, they're doing an RC race up there, and a guy's like, hey, take my car. Go up there and try to race it. With this thing. Don't work. Oh, it's dead. Oh no, he took the battery out. Anyways, this is like a little remote control car. Here from the guys at R&R. Got the controller and everything. We may go do this. May go do this at Husets. I've never been an RC guy though. Never really been an RC guy. We'll be up there. We'll see if we survive. Keep an eye out for me. If you don't hear from me come Sunday, something might have happened. Maybe you'll see what happens if it. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. As always, be sure to like the video, share it around, comment. As always, be sure to subscribe. Catch y'all next time. Thanks for tuning in.
We can ride high, we can ride low. We can ride anywhere we need to go. We can ride all night up to the morning, as long